Welcome to Trigger Warning Podcast, the podcast where we create a safe space for open, honest conversations about personal development and wellness, spirituality, and holistic living. Join us as we delve into topics that are often deemed taboo or triggering while we foster a community where vulnerability is celebrated and growth is nurtured. Get ready to explore the depths of mind, body, and spirit on this journey toward personal enlightenment and collective healing. So grab a drink, have a seat, and come join us. I was gonna
Why are we
let you
both sitting here cheesing?
I was gonna let you do the intro. I guess we should talk about it, but
That's okay. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming back and joining us on the see, this is all I'm doing shit. Thank you for coming back to join us on the Trigger Warning Podcast, where we want you to stay triggered so we can heal you one day at a time. I am your favorite hood rat. I'm light worker, and then you have the wonderful Keleisha Lashaye, your shadow coach.
we're gonna get it together.
One day.
Um, yes. Welcome, y'all. And today we are going to talk about a very triggering topic for some people. Um, it definitely was a triggering topic for me and actually still is, just in a different way. So we gonna get into some religion and some spirituality. Oh, this is a toxic conversation for some people. What do you think?
Toxic, triggering. Most definitely for some people, depending on how they grew up. But it's a conversation that a lot of people avoid
Mhm.
or they tiptoe around, so nobody's feelings are hurt.
So how does
Yeah,
it sit with you? Like, are you completely comfortable just talking about your beliefs and, um, what you believe in and how you feel about religion, spirituality, all those things?
yeah. I'm at the point now; it doesn't really bother me. I'm okay with talking about it, because at the end of the day, it's me. So when I didn't feel comfortable talking about it, I felt like I wasn't comfortable with myself, and it was
Mm,
when I was vibrating lower and was people pleasing when I did not speak on how I felt about it. Of course, I'm a preacher's kid. My
mhm,
parents are, my mother is the overseer and my father is the bishop. So it's, I've been in church my whole life. So kind of
mhm.
going somewhere else, it's kind of hard, you could say. It was hard, especially too, um, again, being that preacher's kid, and you got to reprogram yourself, basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
I
wasn't
definitely
hard
feel like
though.
it was a undoing to, like almost like a breaking down to like rebuild.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard though. It wasn't. I really do appreciate my parents. They were never the ones that's like, I'm gonna shun you. It was never
Mm,
like that. They were like, you believe in something, you're still praying. Uh, One of my friends broke it down to me honestly. She was like, yeah, what's the difference? She was like, to be real, everybody may call them by a different name, but they're only praying to one. So, how, a lot of stuff was broken down to me, but I'm good with it. How about you?
It is something I'm more comfortable with. However, I still do think like sometimes I have to take a step back to because there is still some of that like um good girl mentality that doesn't want to like rock too many boats, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I've definitely like I've gone down the path of feeling like I need to defend my beliefs and so forth and help someone understand. But now I'm like, I don't. You know what I mean? Like if I feel like I want to, I will.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't have to feel obligated to defend what feels true to me.
Right.
Um, I know like we both again have backgrounds in religion, and I know for me, I grew up between like Christianity and being a Jehovah's Witness. Um, and it got to a point where I feel like, and this is to not, and I think we've briefly touched on this topic before in a previous podcast, but it's not to shun anyone in religion because religion has a purpose. And,
Yeah.
it gives a lot of people what they need, you know, just like
Mhm.
spirituality. So it's the same. However, I do feel like for me, religion being so like entwined in like it felt restrictive. It felt there was a lot of beliefs that I feel like they just didn't align with how I felt at my core. And this is the trigger warning podcast, y'all, so we're not about to gloss over it. Like being more specific, I know with Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're baptized, you're held to, a certain standard. And it's
Mhm.
like if you participate or do something that is outside of the standard, um, you are subject to what is called like basically you could be like excommunicated. So like even
Like
if
the Amish.
um y- yeah, in a sense like well, so I think with the don't get me the line because I'm not sure exactly with the Amish, but with Jehovah's Witnesses, it's like I remember it being like because I was so confused because I had a relative that was excommunicated. And I was just they were like, you're not supposed to really talk to them except for like if you really, really need to. Because I lived with this person. So there
Mhm.
was obviously some things like I was a kid, so I had to. But I was just like, I don't understand that. Like that just feels so unloving. Like so other
Right.
people that weren't family like can't talk to this person, but they still have to attend all the meetings and all like do all the things. They just are limited. Like they can't like speak to people and engage and hey, brother, how you doing type of thing.
Right.
And that to me was the most unsettling thing. Like, and I get from a standpoint of like if you think about a parent-child relationship, you know what I mean? But to me, it's like you're punishing me more. Like, don't talk to me because you're not doing things the way I want you to. Like,
Right.
and I know
Right.
that's very extreme, but that's truly how I felt. And this was as a teenager that I was feeling this way. And I just remember even thinking about like, because I couldn't engage in like sports, I couldn't engage in doing certain things when I was, practicing in that religion. And to me, that was again, it was just so restrictive. It was like you can't even do the thing. Like I'm a teenage girl, and
Right. Right.
I can't even like you can't date unless it's they're in the religion. Like it's just so many things that just really did not align. And I mean, that's just a couple of the things, but
Do you not see me lean up? Like this is me learning. I did not know this.
yes.
And honestly, because I watch so much stuff about the Amish
Hmm.
community, um, I know. But it's like, yo, for real? I didn't no. I
Hmm.
did not know all this. I didn't
Yeah.
new to
Like,
me.
and I mean, it definitely goes beyond, what people think,
Deeper
like,
than
oh,
that.
they don't celebrate holidays and stuff like that. Like, it's beyond that. And I'm not here trying to shut anybody down that's in religion, that's a Jehovah's Witness, that's a Christian. Like, that is not. I'm just saying that was my truth. Like, I realized it just did not align with me. I felt like, honestly, um, being forced to do a lot of things. And, like, even I remember at one point, it was like I would think like, well, would I get in trouble with them or what would the elders or like my dad or whoever, what would they think? It was
Hmm.
never about truly like what I desired. And I wasn't a bad kid. Like I wasn't out here just like, you know,
Out here doing
fucking
the
shit up.
thing.
But it was just like, yeah, like it didn't to me, it didn't help with my sense of confidence or individuality and definitely made me it always had me going outside of myself, which relating that to my like childhood traumas, the sexual trauma, the like, not seeing myself, not being heard, seen, understood type of thing,
Hmm.
that just kind of like really enforce the belief that I'm not to trust myself, that I have to ask for permission. I have to go to these people who know better than me about my life. And for me, this is again, I mean, in my history, I'm grateful for it, the traumas and the triggers, because it led me to my spiritual awakening. And for me, spirituality is is being able to go within and understand your power. Like, of
Hmm.
course, there's source, there's the divine, there's God, like, whatever you subscribe to call,
Whatever you call it.
um, but we have so much power to create the reality that we want. It's not about like saying, "Oh, I'm praying and I'm just waiting for things to happen." You know what I mean? Like, we play a huge part in creating our reality. And I feel
But
like
that
that.
doesn't even work either, though. I'm sorry, but that doesn't even work either. Like with the Christianity part, people who literally just like, I'm gonna pray and I know it's gonna come true. Like, no, even in the Bible, it definitely says faith without work is dead. Like, you can
Right,
have all
right.
the faith and pray in my nigga. It's that ain't
Yeah.
gonna happen. Like,
Absolutely. Like, people that, be like, "Yeah, I'm just, my wife or my husband gonna come and, God's gonna bring the right one." But I mean, but what are
I'm
you
gonna bring to
doing
your front
to,
porch.
you know what I mean? Like, we got to go outside. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or what are you also doing to prepare yourself for these things? Like, I mean, there's a lot to put into that. But yeah, like, I just think spirituality for me is for me to be able to go within and to see, like, to check in. How am I feeling? How do I actually want this? Is
Hmm.
this for me? Is this not for me? Is this in alignment? Like, like, it is me having a deeper understanding of self, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. To me,
Hmm.
that is what my spirituality means to me. Yet I still know who I pray to. I still know, who I got on my team, my ancestors, and so forth. Which, I mean, that's a whole nother topic too, because I
Right.
feel like people, they shy away, but it's like I feel like it's very similar to even parts of religion. Have you seen that? Like, people that like criticize when you mention like your ancestors supporting you or things like that. How
Yeah,
did
but
what do you
then
feel about that?
I mean, I had a lot of people like, oh, I'm not bringing no ancestors. Ancestors, this and that. I'm like, okay, but you read King James Bible and they talk about the ancestors in there.
Yeah.
So some people don't never, honestly though, forever grateful, but a lot of people don't say anything to me about
Mm,
my spirituality. I don't know if when I finally opened up about it, I was already very a vocal individual. My throat chakra was no longer blocked, so you
mhm.
wasn't coming at me sideways. Um, So some of the stuff, a lot of people I know that go through it and they're like, "Oh, my family told me this and that, or my family won't talk to me," type stuff like that. Like, I ain't go through that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of different, for me. But yeah, I tell everybody that the Most High is always going to guide me. My ancestors are always behind me. I may look like I'm walking alone, but I got 1,000 footsteps behind me. Like, mm, I just hate it. I just hate that some people are so compartmentalized. How do we say that word? Um, to the point like they just can't see it from nothing else.
Mhm.
A great overseer told me, which is my mom, religion's gonna send people to hell.
Mm,
It's not about your religion. It's about your relationship
that part.
with the Most High. If you don't have a relationship with Him, you just yell, I'm Christian," but you ain't got a relationship with God. It's like,
Right.
where you going? Where and no anywhere here it's a after death you go to Christianity.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
But
So,
that's real dope. I felt like your experience, I mean, which is a unique one anyway, but not many people get that type of experience. Like, and especially to be supported from people
hmm
that are in religion, that are your like, you know what I mean? Like, that is not typical.
hmm
Um, I know for me, like, my dad, who's a Jehovah's Witness, he's I mean, we don't really have conversations about religion, which is completely fine with me.
right, right.
Because I'm not like, I just don't desire to go down that road with him. Um, I
That's the
feel like,
boundary.
hmm?
That's the boundary you set. Like, let's not do
Yeah,
that.
and it's not because I'm ashamed or anything like that. It's just it would be it would be a loss at the beginning of the conversation because what is the purpose? And I feel like that's where we can truly discern, like, are we
Hmm.
avoiding or are we like just setting the boundary? And it's like, no, I'm not avoiding. I wouldn't get anything out of that conversation because I'm not trying to change him and his beliefs, and you can't change mine. So, like, we are where we are. Um, and I feel like that's another part too, is that like the fact that you can believe what you believe and be okay with other people's beliefs, whether you talk about them or not. And just
Hmm.
that's interesting. That's very, I love that for you. Like that's one of my favorite things to say about people. Like I love that for you. I love that you have that belief and that you have something to like, stand firm to. That's
Yeah.
not my truth, but I love that for you.
I know. Well, thank you. First of all, not gonna gloss over that, but I don't know. A lot of people always tell me my yours is different. It's so much different. I'm like, well, thank you for giving me. At one point when I was not as confident in my spirituality, it did cause like a where I was still trying to find myself, and I didn't want to be
Mhm.
bothered with anyone. To the point like I was pushing my own mom away, and I was very rude and this and that, and it had nothing to do with her. Like I was still trying to find myself, and I didn't. I was battling with disappointing them,
Mhm.
and I didn't want to disappoint them, and I don't know why me not wanting to disappoint them came out as hell rage, but it did.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the only little part of it. And don't get me wrong, like I tell anybody, you put me in somebody's church, I'm probably gonna tear up your furniture because I just know where I'm at. I know where I stand with it, and I know my beliefs. I can tell a lot of people, you're not about to sit here and quote no Bible to me. That's what you ain't gonna do. Because even though I don't open the Bible for myself and I don't own a Bible, I know what's right, well, I know what's wrong, and I know it's in that book, and I know when you're making up stuff off the top of your head just to make your people yell and feel like they're going to heaven in a Cadillac. Like
Yeah.
that's it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't. I knew my relationship with God had to be the first, like literally, and I knew when I my ancestors was here before me, they were here for a reason. They're
Absolutely.
guiding. You're definitely guiding. And I hate when people say I'm breaking generational curses, but you don't believe in your ancestors. How do you know you even have a generational curse?
Period.
You don't even know your generational lineage because you don't
Mhm.
believe in your ancestors. You don't believe in your ancestors
People
when your
over
grandfather
here
died. You no longer believe that. You no
you
longer
over here
believe that.
paying 150 to $300 to get, to see your ancestors and to
Right.
figure out who, where you came from, but you don't
Yes.
believe in the energy and, being able to get wisdom from your ancestors
Okay.
and,
You get you get the wisdom. So that's what confuses me. I'm glad you said that because it's like you sit and talk to the elders. When those same elders pass on, what do you think they go? What are they? They're now
yeah.
your ancestors. You were talking to an ancestor sitting there.
Thinking it's
Like
your
come,
thoughts, but meanwhile,
yeah. It's
whispering
like
in your
you,
ear telling you what's up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
No,
that's a
that's
lot of
that's
people
that's
battle with
facts.
that. They battle with that, and then they like, "Oh, I don't know, I can't hear the Most High talking to me." Because you got everybody else, and you're not in a quiet place to even listen.
Mhm.
That's why a lot of people get so confused. Like, why do you go to an altar and then, or let's get on that.
People
Let's talk
don't
about
listen to themselves, let alone God.
boom, but let's talk about the altars.
Mm,
People out, you got an altar in your home, and da da da. You go to the altar at church.
no
What's
facts.
the difference?
the
Mine is just in my phone.
yeah, the podium, the
Some people
and the
call it the
fact
rock.
I mean, and I never thought about it in that way because you think about it and
Hmm.
you got the little podium where, I don't know, the preacher, the elder, the pastor, whoever,
Hmm.
is speaking, right?
Hmm.
And you're giving this person your attention you're singing towards that altar, towards the, like when a lot of people, and I know they do this in a lot of places of worship, when they're
Mhm.
praying and all that stuff, they're putting their hands towards the
Mhm.
energy. They're putting their energy forces towards like the stage, the altar.
Mhm.
And it's like you are literally like you're there worshiping. And people think, but I think people have it misconstrued because they're like, oh, you're praying to them or you're worshiping them. And me acknowledging my ancestors and talking to them and getting wisdom and showing appreciation and gratitude is not the same thing as worshiping. I am not saying
Not at
that
all.
they are like source, you know what I mean? But they are a source of support
Yeah,
that
but you're
if we
not
want to
saying
say
that's
that
just your
God
all in all.
gave to us, which
Right.
like you said, when we die, I mean, and everybody has different beliefs, but energy never dies. The soul never dies. So to
Spirits
have the
don't die.
belief, you know, that we die and then that's just it. Like that's so this 3D world, like this is it. You tell her. Do you know how
But
depressing that is?
have
That
you
is
ever heard
so to think
somebody
that
say,
that is the end.
right?
No, there's no way. There's no way. I
It's,
don't believe it. False,
but have
fake
you ever
news.
heard somebody say, um, say, okay, let me use this example. Say you've been around somebody and they're just like this negative spirit, like they're just so, like you can't stand to be around them because they're just that negative, right? So say now they're out of the picture. Say they moved out of town, but then somebody else comes around and they're the same way. You get what I'm saying? They're the
Mhm.
same way. It's not the person, that's the spirit. Like I'd be so confused when people like, I
Yeah.
don't believe in spirits and stuff. Okay, you don't? I'm confused. You don't?
Mhm. It's
Hmm.
just I think that people get uncomfortable with the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, so I think the biggest thing for me, and this is what led me to my spiritual awakening, curiosity and feeling curious enough to want to challenge because I got to the point where I realized, what do I believe? I've grown
Mm-hmm.
up to believe in Jesus Christ and in God. And that's, like I've had all of these beliefs because someone told me. Because
Mm-hmm.
okay, you read in the Bible, but we all know there's interpretations of everything too. So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I need to fact check for myself. So I was like, I literally just broke it all down and I just like at the end of the Jenga game when everything just comes tumbling down. Like I was just like, I need to go back to the basics. Like, what do I believe? Because if somebody asked me, I wouldn't know what to say. Like I would just spit stuff, but I wouldn't feel in my core that that's my truth. So I even challenged, like, is Jesus real? And is this what we should be like? I challenge so many things. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. And they believe these things because they grew up that way, because society, and that's just a standard thing, right? Like to believe. Or common because of their environment they grew up in. But they get uncomfortable with the unknown. And I think that is really the foundation of spirituality. It is
Mm-hmm.
about the unknown and possibility. And I feel like with religion, it's a little more strict. It's a little like, this is the box. And, like we got to put the things neatly in the box. And spirituality is fucking messy. It's like,
It's all over
I
the place.
mean,
Ain't no box. They kicked the
and there
box
is no
over.
box. Like, listen, the box ain't even real. Like,
You are the box. You are the box.
and people not everybody's ready for that. Not everybody's ready for expansion. I wasn't. Like, 5, 10 years before I had my expansion, I'll say. And this is not to, again, like whatever you subscribe to. That is your
Mm-hmm.
truth. And it is not wrong. But for me, like it was an expansion. I got to the point because at first, like, you couldn't tell me. I thought all of it was the devil. Like, like anything. You see tarot, the devil. If you see somebody getting a reading, that's the devil. But
Mm-hmm.
meanwhile, they were doing this stuff in biblical times too. You know what I mean? And like for people to be able to like have the gifts that they were given, even around the times of Jesus or before then, like I think just people we're very limited with what we see, like horses, like they have those blinders on. And it's very, how can something be, you know what I mean? Like if it's not
Hmm.
there, it's not a, it's just not,
It's
it's
not
not
there.
real. It's not,
Hmm.
it's not in your reality. So I just feel like when you have to get to a point, and I don't know for you, but this was my story, and a lot of people that
Hmm.
I know, the spiritual awakening happened when we broke the fuck down, like to the point
At your
of
lowest point.
your lowest point to where you're like, like for me, I was searching outside of myself. Like I was just like, okay, what I know ain't been working, like, because I'm over here depressed and mad and ready, like you know what I mean, like
Hmm.
ready to just say fuck this and flip the table, right? And you had to get to a point of just like complete surrender. And I think that is what spirituality is about. It's about surrendering and opening yourself up to
Surrendering fully.
believing and trusting and just knowing that your journey is for you and that everything that is happening, it's either it is for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And I think that's the difference because like there was another thing like when you're in, you know, I felt like when things would happen, it was so awkward and weird when people would like, like whether it was a death or something like that at
Hmm.
times. Like people trying to explain that stuff. You know what I mean? Like they would try to and it's like, "Oh, well, it was God's will." And, you know, I don't know. Like I did not resonate with that. And then again, like you said, the belief of what happens to us after we die too. Like
Hmm.
I mean, that's a whole other that's way deeper
Yeah.
into the conversation than we're going to go today, but I just think yeah,
Hmm.
like that's the difference with religion and spirituality for me as I would explain it. It's that I feel like religion makes you go look outside of
Hmm.
yourself. In spirituality, it's more go within, but still maintain that connection, you know? Like I don't and the funny thing is when I was growing up in religion, like more so being a Jehovah's Witness, like I told like my best friend and she was so heartbroken because I didn't go to church or anything. I only went to like the Kingdom Hall. And she was just like, "If I got married, would you go?" Because, she's like, "It would be in a church." And I was just like, "I'm sorry, I can't." Like, and this was my best friend. And I was very devout and was like, "I will not step foot in a church." Today, in me and my body, even though I am not in any way, shape, or form religious, I am very spiritual. And but I go to church sometimes. I mean, I haven't in a few months, but I go to church sometimes. And I think for the longest time because it was like this is like no, you're not supposed to go to church. Like you know what I mean? Like you're about
Hmm.
to get all kinds of attachments and stuff. Like we walk into the grocery store, you could get an attachment. You can walk around somebody with
Hmm.
bad energy and whatever the case may be. But like now, I'm like I am so comfortable in firm in my beliefs and understanding myself that I can go to church and not feel like, you know what I mean? Like not sit up here and be judging them or thinking like, oh, I can get a word from anywhere I go. Okay. And you take you take what resonates and leave what
Yep.
doesn't. You
Leave
know
the
what I
rest.
mean? And it's like that's kind of crazy that I used to be so like, oh yeah, no, we ain't going to church. Like that's like I really felt like I would be sinning if I would go to church.
Yeah. Man,
And now,
I never knew that they could. I didn't. I'm learning stuff now. I didn't know that.
I mean, well, I don't know if that was one of those like it wasn't like one of those spoken rules, but it was like you folks ain't like if you're participating, if you're Jehovah's, like you're not going to church, like you're going to the Kingdom Hall. That is where you get the word. So yeah, like I don't remember if it was not something they would say,
No,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just yeah. But yeah,
I
now I'm
did.
like that's kind of crazy to me. Like I because like you said, I mean, there's truth in all religions. I feel like no religion has all of it together. They all have
Mm-mm.
some form of truth. So I can go to a mosque, I could go to a church, whether it's non-denominational or Baptist or whatever the case may be, and I can get a message.
If it's for you, it's for you. You're gonna whatever resonates with you, you'll take it out. Um,
Absolutely.
I know, like when you were talking about. what made you, or what brought you to your spiritual awakening. Mine was the same.
Mm,
As I said earlier, I was like fighting myself. I was very mean and stuff like that. But I really remember it was I tried to commit suicide, and I woke up. I remember I had turned this certain song on, almost let go. I put my car in reverse at Lake Norman, and I was there, so I was right there. So if I would have hit the gas, I would just went right into the lake. And I was living on Lake Norman at the time also. So I closed my eyes and I said my little prayer, girl, and I just knew I was not gonna wake back up. No, I woke up. I was at my house, and I only live like 5 minutes away from the lake, so it wasn't crazy. But it was like, yo, how did I get here?
mm,
Literally, I don't remember driving, and I just kept hearing. It felt like I was hearing my grandmother's voice in my head too, though. Like, I got you. Then I had another voice like I had never heard, and it was like, your time is not up. It's something greater for you here, girl. I literally think I sat in my car like 2 hours just boohooing and crying.
mhm,
And it was a lot because that same day somebody had broken into my car at church. Like, it was a lot. But I think a lot of people find their spirituality or their awakening when they're at their lowest point. And I know it's this church song that was like, Trouble Brought Me Here.
mhm.
That's that kind of song goes like trouble brought me here. That's what brings you. It may not be always trouble. It could be depression. It could be whatever, but it brings you to where you have to be for your attention to be gotten.
Mhm.
That's to me where I stand with it is like I still go into churches. It don't because I know my relationship with the Most High. I can go to a mosque. I've been to one. I can go to a Buddhist temple. Been to one. I went to a non-denominational church. Made me cry just hard as I was at my mom in them church. So it was like
Mhm.
whatever you get from it is what you get from it, and you take it and you go.
Yeah.
What's really hurting nowadays is that kills me is like people trying to beat in certain religions into people's head. Like for what, bro? Let them find out who they want to be.
Yeah. And that's another thing that never resonated with me. It's like you feel like you got to be talking about it all the time. And the funny thing is, it felt like work before. Like, I mean, people know Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door and, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um Which I mean, you wanna spread the word, and I get that. But I'm not gonna lie, I was always it just like, now I understand why. Because
Mm-hmm.
now I can talk about, like, my beliefs and my spirituality even in a non like, an unorthodox way, and even indirectly, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a releasing of freedom. There's confidence in it, you know what I mean? Versus I'm like, "Well, believe in Jesus," or you know what I mean? Like just saying whatever the message was. Like that just that was always something that I had trouble with. Um and yeah, like just trying to I just don't believe whatever you believe that. And if we happen to have a conversation where we want to open up about it, that's great. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going out of my way sitting up here trying to tell people that are, you know what I mean, that have no interest in because like you said, what's for me won't miss me. So if I cross paths with somebody and I meant to have a conversation with them,
Right.
cool. Like, but I'm not about to be knocking door to door just because we're covering
You have
territory
to.
to
Mm-hmm.
to do that. I have no desire to do that, but more power to the people that do. But I think that yeah, people's breakdowns and their, the when life be life and the most is when what leads them to and even if it leads you to deeper in your religion, you know what I mean? That's your
Mm-hmm.
truth. Like just sit in that and be
Sit in
confident
your
in
truth.
that. Like I think the most important thing is it's not about what I can tell you I believe, but what is my character? What am I, you know what I mean? And that's I actually had a issue with a family member for some time because they were just like asking me questions like, well, so do you believe this? Do you worship your ancestors? Do you do this? And I'm just like I answered some questions, but then it kind of got like I was just like, I don't desire to continue with this conversation because
Right.
one, we don't have to go here. Two, like my beliefs, and if you're basing whether you want to interact with me off of my beliefs, but yet you're fine being around me or comfortable in my home and you're comfortable with my child. Like to me, that like my spirituality surrounds my life, but it shows in my energy.
Mm-hmm.
I have core values that I live by. And if you're judging me based off of a belief, whether you agree that I can talk to an ancestor or not, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like to me, that should not affect a relationship. So you're so offended. Keyword, you're offended. Like, I'm not sitting up here trying to change your beliefs, but you're just bothered by the fact that I believe something completely different than you.
Then
That you
you.
want to choose to like separate yourself. To me, that's crazy. But for you, I love that for you.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
set
to me,
that
that's
boundary because
respect the
guess what? The
person.
boundary is for you. It's not for me. But for me, I'm so open and so open minded that I can feel comfortable with somebody from any religion, or even if they
Mm-hmm.
don't believe at all, because we can all learn from one another. We're all connected. Like we're all just reflections of each other anyway. Like getting into all that, but we can coexist and it be okay. And I feel like
So,
that's really the division with religion. It's so separated. But
mm-hmm.
spirituality unites. It truly does. I mean, and religion does too, but not across religion. It unites in that one religion, you know?
In that one particular form. Um, what was I about to say?
I be talking. Y'all know I be talking.
I really forgot. Oh, respect the person. That's where it comes to the respect the person, and it kills me how some people want to Bible thump all day long and have respect the person, and then if you go into the Bible, it says he had no respect the person. So where are you
Mhm.
getting this respect the person from? Like you, that's what used to irritate me, and I don't know. I know a lot of people gonna get tired of me saying this or whatever. Nobody's perfect or whatever, but my parents were literally the example of they ain't have no respect the person, bro. It was not. They don't care who you are. Come literally as you are. Be you. But then you got some people out here that wanna pick and choose parts of the Bible they wanna live by. But you're not gonna play with me, bro. You're not gonna try to sit here in the pulpit and teach to me. And I just seen you at the club last night with me. Well, I know you finna leave here and go to happy hour and be on mimosas like me. Like, be be for real. Be for real.
Yeah.
So it's just go into what makes you. Dig deep into you. What is for you is for you. You're gonna find your vibe is always gonna attract your tribe.
Mhm.
And you're gonna find a tribe in your spirituality. Just like even in religion, they find their tribe. They find
Yeah,
it.
for sure.
Their religion is basically their tribe. Yeah, I was supposed to be now some of the religion, you like, what the hell? But you find it.
Yeah. And I think too it's definitely to note that this is not, shunning any particular religion or
No.
anything. And even in spirituality, like let's be clear here.
It
Because
ain't perfect.
somebody saying they spiritual is that could be toxic too. Because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people claiming to be spiritual out here and they scamming folks, getting their money. Or
That's it.
um they're not very self-aware, and they're over here just shining the light on everybody else, but not really, working on themselves. And to me, and I mean, I like, listen, that is like my number. I am the person that wants to dig deep and delve into the traumas and fix everything. Like if I'm like, oh, I gotta like I will work on whatever it is that is in my attention.
Mm-hmm.
I am a student of life. Okay.
Right.
That is my spirituality. I'm a student of myself and a student of life. and a student of energy. But like there's a lot of people out here claiming to be things that they
They
are
not.
not portraying in their everyday life. So this is not just about the religious folks, it's about the spiritual folks too now.
Let's make it very clear.
But my
Or they
biggest thing
hop in
is
your
like,
inbox like that.
yeah, like, and just, no matter what people claim to be, it's not really about what they claim to be. Because a lot of people claiming shit that they ain't got no knowledge about. Okay.
They googling
They
it,
just
bookie.
holding on to it because it sounds good or because it's familiar. And that's not the answer. That's why a lot of people are walking around because they don't know themselves, because they haven't actually
Hmm.
like dug deep to actually, see what do I believe, or what do I, how do I feel about this? And is this the case for me? Does this actually resonate? Like, people don't know. They just on autopilot.
Hmm.
This was good. This was good. I think this is definitely something that, like you said, people shy away from. But I think it's a conversation that it's beautiful. And I feel like even, because I'm sure there's things that me and you don't necessarily believe that are the same. But we can have these
Hmm.
conversations and go deep and talk about things and still be okay at the end of the day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You
Like,
have to
as
be
long as
okay with
somebody's
having.
beliefs aren't, if they're not like impinging upon your life or you, like, then why is it an issue? Why are we making it a problem? Just because you have different beliefs. So at the end of the day, I mean, religious or spiritual, are you a good person? Like, are you trying to do better for future generations? Are you,
Hmm.
breaking generational patterns? Are you creating a legacy? Like, those are the things that's important.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of people are uncomfortable at all times having certain conversations, but you got to have uncomfortable conversations. If you and your friends agree on everything, bro, please find somebody else. Get
Yeah.
some more friends, because then y'all are keeping it real. Me and my brother fall out. No, let me not say fall out. We have a disagreement real fast because we're not supposed to agree on everything. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, we're like, well, that makes sense. And I'm glad you feel like that on your end, but this is how I feel. You
Mhm.
gotta have those conversations to move forward in life. Like,
Yeah.
mm,
Absolutely.
I don't like
But
yes men.
not being disrespectful with it. Just, yeah,
Right.
like, hey, I love that for you. But you ever thought about it from this perspective? Like, it could be as simple as that, y'all.
I love the way you said that. Well, I like the way that thinks or how you're thinking and how that makes you feel. But at the same time, from my perspective, this makes me feel like X, Y, and Z. And this is why I move like T, Y, and X. Like, it don't always gotta connect the dots. It don't gotta make sense to you as long as it makes sense to them.
Yeah. And making sense to them. I'm going to say this. I'm going to just say this one time, y'all. If you get offended because of someone else's beliefs, it's because you're not firm in your own. Because if you are firm in your own belief, it ain't nothing that somebody could say to you that is going to bother you, because guess what? Like, you're confident in what's here, like, that's it. And of course, like, we can learn, we can grow, right? But now she clapping for me, y'all. But at the end of the day, if I believe what I believe, and I'm not in the like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not in the stage of like how I was trying to challenge things and gain information and figure out what truly fits for me.
Mhm.
But like, if you're not in that stage, if you get offended, that's because something ain't in alignment with what you got going on over here.
Right.
And at that point, that's the trigger. That's the activating event, y'all, where you need to not focus on the other person and their beliefs. You need to come right back on around to yourself and reevaluate your beliefs.
Truly.
And if they are, in fact, your beliefs. Because ain't
Not a
no
belief that
way
somebody
that you
put on
being
you.
firm in that should be bothering you because someone else speaks up about that. You know what I mean? That's
Mhm.
usually a projection that you're uncomfortable because they're comfortable and they're confident enough to speak on it, and you're not. That's the trigger. That's what that is. 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So that's my little final thought for y'all. So stay triggered, y'all, because it's a lesson.
They trigger babies.
Did you have any final thoughts?
My only thought is to be comfortable with you. Um, you have to live for you. You're not living for no one else. So whatever you're staying firm on, stand on it. My favorite thing is
Mm,
stand on business, not stand on business, but stand on business. Okay?
mm,
Stand on it. Be true to you.
yeah,
Because you're not being true to yourself if you're just doing it because, oh, my mama wanted me to do that.
yeah.
You'll never be happy. A healing journey is you're healing to be happy and be completely you. So, as
Yeah.
always, stay triggered, but heal as you're triggered. Because when you're triggered, you're learning you.
Heal the triggers so we
Yep.
can work on other triggers.
Other triggers. Because we all got
It's
triggers,
always
baby.
something.
It's always something.
Oh, and we didn't do, see, we gotta get better with this, y'all. Y'all supposed
What
to
we
tell
got to do?
us our win and our lesson or our trigger and what do we do for self?
I go. Self, I got this head done, honey. I got this retire,
Ooh,
baby.
yes.
Okay.
Ain't nothing like the first shower after you get a retie. Okay, listen, you can't tell me nothing. And when I get out and I be like, eh.
Right.
Like,
I got this good retire.
oh, when that water hit that scalp.
The lesson now, what I learned is I had not felt like myself. My baby's now 10 months. So I hadn't felt like myself in 10 months. Saturday was the first time I really felt like myself. Like I was comfortable in
Mm,
my skin and um stuff like that. Um well, and that's what I learned about myself too, because I had to learn. So why weren't you comfortable in yourself? Because y'all may not know, and I don't mind telling, because I made a whole YouTube about it. I had a gastric bypass surgery. I had postpartum depression. They put me on Zoloft, and Zoloft made me gain weight. I was not eating. It was literally the Zoloft that made me gain the weight. And I went into a depression about it. So that's what I learned. What about you?
I'm here for it. Like, we're not just gonna brush into that and what's happening over here with me. Like, that is huge. That is huge. Like, and especially as someone that went through, um, I didn't have postpartum depression, but I had postpartum anxiety, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
until I had it, because I did not have that with my first child. Um, and as a person, as a survivor of that, like, I know how debilitating it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention just your hormones just out of whack anyway, and taking care of a brand new life that is completely dependent on you. Like,
Always.
that win is amazing. And I love that for you.
Thank you.
To many more days of feeling like yourself.
Baby, many, many more.
um, for me, my win, being comfortable in my skin, even in the face of someone that is not seeing me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess confidence. That's the one that I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
The lesson or the trigger for me, actually, because as you know, Monday was my birthday.
Ooh.
Um, and it was a little, I had people that did not acknowledge. And I had to sit there, and it's funny because I tell myself, like, oh, this was a trigger for you. Like, you got to work on that, right? Because you're over here like looking for validation from other people. Like, why is it that it, you know, makes a difference if somebody don't say happy birthday? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, because I had people that I deem as friends that did not say anything or acknowledge or anything. But it was also a win because I did not sit in that as I normally would have, like,
Mm-hmm.
before. Because I had took my, like, birthday off of, like, social media and stuff, it'd be reminded people, and people just be saying happy birthday and stuff. I mean, they go out their way, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a win because it didn't throw me off as much as it, like, has previously. Like, it was something I noticed, and it was just like, "Oh, that kinda sucks." And then I just went about my day and was just like, like the day was still great. So it was a trigger, but it was a win. And then do for self, I got a massage, and that was nice
Ooh.
because it had been a minute since my last one, and usually I'm very regular with them, so that
And
was
why
nice.
had it been a minute?
Um, I mean, there's really no excuse. Like I
Mhm.
just prioritized other things. And yeah, but now it's like we're back to our normal routine of self-care and like pouring into myself. Like I am doing all the things, okay? Like I got a
Right.
coach, I got a therapist, I got like an acupuncturist, I have a chiropractor,
Mhm.
I got a personal trainer. Like I am doing all the things, okay? Like I am pouring into myself. Period.
Right.
So we're back on the normal schedule. And yeah, like things are feeling good. But we definitely appreciate you guys sitting here. If you've listened to us this far, thus far, like we
Thus
appreciate you
far.
hanging in there with us and listening to our thoughts as we heal. We hope you heal as well. And like we always say, stay triggered.
Stay triggered.
Till next time, y'all.
Later.